We're live. So I got some new gear. Got a Magewell capture card and a different HDMI adapter, which seemed to solve my issues. Not only did it solve my issues, but the Magewell is 4K, so I don't have to stream at 720 if I don't want to, which is pretty cool. So it was an upgrade, as well as I can stream again, which is pretty cool. So I've been using Obsidian, kind of embracing the second brain, and I've been loving it so far. You can see I've got some cool topics here. But today what I want to, or at least this stream, kind of want to catch up. And by that I mean work has been quite intense the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. And I feel like I've gotten really behind on the side work and personal projects. It's been a struggle to keep up. So I kind of want to work towards catching up on all of that. It's not going to be an instant thing, but I feel like work is in a bit of a better place, or will be soon, especially as we start to make some new hires. And I've got some ideas, and so I want to prioritize those ideas, list them out, just kind of talk out loud, as well as mic volume a little low. I can fix that. Filters, gain, testing. Is this any better? It does show me in the red a little bit. Okay, cool. So yeah, I want to make sure I'm kind of riding that wave as I feel work easing up a bit. Make sure I'm in a good spot to hit the ground running. Much better. Awesome. All right. So one thing that's been on my mind a lot recently is a stream on what is a digital garden. And the reason this has been on my mind, Colby, hey Telvs, good morning. Thanks for being here on your weekend. Colby in the Party Corgi Discord asked me to do a conference talk at a conference in mid-September. It's a React conference, and I've actually never done a conference talk before, but the topic I wanted to present on was digital gardens and how React plays a role in digital gardens. So I wanted to do a stream that kind of helped me prepare for that, in terms of what I'm going to talk about and the background for what's going to fuel that talk. So what is a digital garden stream? So I feel a bit underprepared for that talk at the moment, just because my own digital garden has got some weeds that need to be picked. So there's that, and then there's also like the intro to that talk kind of needs to lay some groundwork or some context for how React comes in, because it is a React specific conference. So that's topic number 1, and I'll work on prioritizing this as I go. So then we've got 100 days of projects, which also has grown some weed sprouts, lots of those in my work. Yeah, I think I'm kind of referring to a different type of weed in that my thinking about digital gardens has been evolving and changing over time but my current garden doesn't really reflect completely how I view digital gardens. And I'd like to make some changes in my site and also plant some more seeds to more accurately reflect what I view a digital garden as, and also kind of to practice what I preach in a sense. So 100 Days of Projects, I started that on a really strong foot, and then work just kind of slammed in there, and I slowed down a lot. I started with the goal of a garden for streaming speedrunning, which I still very much want to do. I was kind of getting into speedrunning right before work was picking up, and I learned a ton about what it means to speedrun video games. And there's a lot to it that I wish that I was like more prepared to be tending that garden, planting seeds as I was in it. I think somebody in the Egghead community kind of talks about like the best time to make content about something is when you're learning it or when you're in it. And I definitely feel the pain of that. Some of it is not nearly as fresh in my head anymore. I'm not like as excited about the learning of the technology and setup that goes into get the rototiller out and replant. Yes, there you go. I like that. So with regards to streaming speedrunning, there's like software that goes into it. We've got the timer, we've got input viewers, we've got capture card, which is the capture card you use might depend on which console you're streaming. Then we've got like the community aspect, which is very important in like anything you're doing really. So like how do you find community, and like where do you look to find it? Hey Fabio, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I got a new computer because my laptop kind of kicked the bucket or needs repair, maybe a reformat. I had a MacBook Pro that had a battery recall on it, and I never got the battery replaced. I'm not sure if I still can, but it was also just extremely slow and not performing as well as I needed it to. So anyways, all that to say, I upgraded to an iMac Pro, and in doing that, I ran into issues trying to stream. It took me a while to track down. Actually, Robert Tables helped me with some things that you can't find on the internet. You actually need, well, some computers, my computer needs a Apple-made HDMI adapter. I think for the battery explosion, yeah, it makes popping noises. It's really strange. It's like a little tick here and there. So I don't know. It's kind of scary. But yeah, my new machine is amazing. Super fast, super performant. Beautiful Retina, 23-inch. Lots of money. I spent like my entire raise on it. Okay, so we've got the 100 Days of Projects. My initial project was the garden for speedrunning. But as a byproduct of that, I explored Next and made a Next starter. It got off to a really good start, but then the weeds started to grow. And I'd love to get back to that. We just had our adventure club for the open source Working in Public book today, which was awesome. And it made me realize that Eka, a part of the hey Max, not familiar with Obsidian, does it handle Markdown? Oh, I'm noticing chat is not here. That's interesting. Chat box. Maybe it just needs to come up a little. Huh. All right, we'll work on that. Let me answer your question. It does handle Markdown, so we can just, do this. It also got like bi-directional linking. So I can like link to other notes. I think I'm going to cover Obsidian in this What is a Digital Garden stream, which might be later today. We'll see. The conference talk slides are due on Monday, I think. So it is important. That's been a motivator to me streaming, is because I want to do that stream. I want to like talk out loud in front of others about what is a digital garden and like kind of do some research on the fly and talk about the research I've done. I'm kind of getting off topic. I love it so far, Talvs. It's really good. It's all local Markdown files, so you select a folder on your hard drive, and that's the thing that really drew me to it. So I have an Obsidian folder that I call the garden. Hey Rezier, thanks for the raid. What's up? Wash your hands and stay hydrated. I actually washed my hands right before the stream, and we'll take a sip of water for you. That see-through glass is kind of weird, but anyways. So yeah, I've got a folder on my desktop. Maybe we can take a look at that. Whoa. So we've got garden. So I've just got a folder named garden on my hard drive that is also a Git repository, which is optional, completely optional, but I wanted some sort of cloud backup. And in here is just Markdown files. So each new note is a Markdown file, and like in Obsidian, you saw the folders. So like these map to real folders on the hard drive. And so that solved a lot of the issues that I had with Notion. I didn't really care for the social sharing that Notion gives you, where you can like add multiple people to your Notion space. And like it just suffers from a lot of issues. Like offline is not super great, and switching between notes in my Notion had there's like loading spinners, and I wasn't cool with that. So I've really enjoyed my time with where are we? Planning. Really enjoyed my time with Obsidian. I'm pretty new to it. I'm not fully making use of it. There's a lot of content that I need to bring over from Notion. So you can see I still have Notion open here because it's kind of split between two places, but I feel like I'm on the right track to having a second brain. Using WimWiki for now, but this looks nice as well. Cool, I have not heard of that. Maybe drop a link if you don't mind, Max. Then do you use a Git repo to keep your VimWiki? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Keep your changes backed up. Yes, exactly. So my changes are backed up in Git. Not distracting at all. These are great questions. So I just have a private repo where I commit and push these changes when I want to back them up. And that also lets me use them across machines. If I wanted to use my laptop, I could just pull and I'd be in sync. It's not quite as nice as the automatic syncing of Notion, but I am happy to make some sacrifices. I think Obsidian makes up for it in many ways. Okay, so next starter. Oh yeah, and I was talking about open source work. I don't do much open source work, but my next starter is open source, and Eka, who's part of the Party Corgi community, made a pull request about a month ago that I responded to, but haven't merged or run locally. All that to say, I'm behind on my next starter, and I would really like to catch up on it. I kind of felt a little blocked by like how opinionated should it be, and then like when I bring some features in, should they be in like the main default branch, or should it be in a different branch, different repo? And then not being able to really answer that question made me kind of stop working on it, along with a bunch of other outside forces like work, mainly work. But I kind of landed on it's for me, mainly for me. So I'm just going to do what I want with it, I think. So I'm going to like maintain a, let's call it bare bones branch. But then I think the main branch and like the thing that I promote is going to be very opinionated towards the workflow that I like and the tooling that I like. This is, like I said, this is mainly for me, so I don't care if there's hundreds and hundreds of people using it. Hey Xander, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. I still haven't caught one of your streams. I think you've been doing music streams. But I did drop a follow, so I should get notifications now. But yeah, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. So I'm going to maintain a bare bones branch in my next starter. Sunday afternoon. Cool. Maybe after our adventure, our D&D adventure. Because my head's getting cut off just a bit. So maintain a bare bones branch, but the default branch and what gets promoted will be opinionated. And I kind of settled on this because when I'm promoting this starter, there's going to be a set of styles that are, I think, very important to communicating my ideas around, because my next starter is specifically a digital garden starter. Maybe I should write that in my notes. And what features this digital garden starter has will largely depend or be inspired by this what is a digital garden stream, which maybe in a few hours, might take a break and go live again with the new stream title, or maybe tomorrow. I don't know, we'll see. But it is kind of cool how all this stuff kind of feeds into itself. Like one of the main motivations behind this digital garden stream is the conference talk. But it is also going to feed into my 100 Days of Projects digital garden starter, which will then feed into my speedrunning site. So yeah, that's cool. So the default branch is going to be what's promoted and will be opinionated, because I want styling, and just doing plain CSS is such a pain. So I'm going to want to bring in some sort of CSS framework, and my framework of choice is Styled Components. And to enable me to work quickly, I'm going to, like I said, just be opinionated about it. Xander, how is Obsidian treating you? It's been treating me quite well. I think it's going to be a Notion replacement for me. Might take me some time to kind of converge the two, but I've been really liking it so far. The way it maps to local files just sits really well with me. Max says he's going to watch the Toast episode now. That was very interesting. You're talking about the Learn with Jason, right, Max? Hey, Rezer, gonna head off to bed now. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the raid. I still get your notifications. You've been streaming a lot. I think a mix of gaming and software dev. Chris says stacking it all on top of each other. Nice. Yeah, and it's interesting how that worked out. It wasn't super intentional. It's just kind of the way it's going. But it is nice when many things that you're kind of pushing forward all kind of have intertwining and overlapping thoughts and work. All right. So what else am I missing here? What is like a priority that I'm pushing forward? I guess we could say streaming. Like, I really enjoy live streaming. It helps me like put my own thoughts in order and forces me to articulate things that I wouldn't normally articulate. It can, when you're working for a company doing mostly proprietary work on a very small team remotely, it is very easy to not externalize your thoughts and your learnings unless you are intentional about it. I think blogging is intentional, and one intentional way of making sure you are externalizing what you're learning. But streaming is another way that I think complements blogging very well. Or by blogging, I mean just writing content, digital gardening in general. So I'd love to stream more consistently now that like all my technical issues are pretty much figured out. This stream is kind of part of that. I'm testing my new capture card, my new HDMI adapter. I think that's it. Anyone here given a try on any of the external GPUs? I have not. Is that like a Mac thing or a Windows thing or both? I have a PC that I built a few years back that has an internal GPU. I'd be interested in if it's a Mac thing. That could be cool, because you can't even like soup up a Mac. Apple doesn't even offer it. Considering one for my MacBook Pro, that'd be cool. Yeah. How do you even hook that up? Is it like USB, or how does that work? So what does streaming more consistently for me look like? I mean, once a week feels like a pretty good goal. It's definitely ambitious, given that how much work has picked up. I'm working more than 40 hours a week, launching a new product. It's a lot of work. It's exciting, hiring, so many hats, so many things going on. But I do want to make streaming a priority in some form. So I think once a week is a good starting goal. With the main purpose behind it being articulating what I'm learning, articulating what I'm thinking, getting real-time feedback on my thoughts and words. I've in the past talked about all kinds of cool stuff that I want to do with my stream, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Not anytime soon, anyways. Maybe if what I'm doing professionally became a little bit more content-based, I could see the product I'm working on having a DevRel in the future, probably the mid to distant future. But yeah, for now, I think just getting on here once a week would be hugely beneficial. So yeah, we still have, let's see, we still have heal. Do we still have RBF? Yeah, nice. That's a Jason Langsdorff illustration right there. I think that my stream interactivity will suffice for the time being. Yeah, so I think we can move on for that. So stream more consistently with once a week as an initial goal. I took a peep at the coding challenge. Oh, for my work. It's interesting that that popped up in your feed. I guess that's because it was open source. Cool. I wonder if that's a good thing or not. But hey, since you checked it out, what did you think? I've been getting pretty good feedback from the interviewers on it. I really like it so far. The goal was to kind of mimic real world development, but in a very controlled way. And like at a macro level, if you really zoom out at like creating a web app and you're not thinking about any like super specific features, what are we doing? We are getting data from an API and rendering that data on the screen for user interaction. So my goal with the coding challenge was to do something that should be relatively simple for a senior developer. But then when you're doing it live with someone on the spot, I think you can get nervous and, things can go wrong. So that's why I kept it relatively simple. And I've definitely been able to get a good read on the way people think and where their skill gaps are in ways that you might not get from a tree traversal on a whiteboard or from a take-home challenge where you might recommend 2 to 4 hours, but really they spend 8 to 16 hours. And there's no real way to know that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues with take-home challenges. I've done them in the past. I've spent double the amount of recommended time in the past, which I was open about with my interviewers, but it's just a lot of time, especially if you're still working full-time. Not everyone can afford to take time off in between jobs, so a lot of people interview while still working full-time, and if they have families or, hobbies or other things they enjoy doing, it's just really stressful. So time boxing it to 60 to 90 minutes, I feel like really helps keep the scope down. Welcome back, Towels. I also have a coffee I've been working on. Let's give this a title. All right, so we're going to recap. I feel like there's still more I'm not thinking of. So what is a digital garden stream? And I guess this should feed into the conference talk because that is important. That's the thing I need to get done this week. Actually, what is the name of that conference? I kind of want to link it out. 1 second. It's going to be a live streamed conference. So not pre-recorded. Let's see here. React Global Online Summit. By Geekle, who I'd never heard of before. See, how do I paste that? Maybe in Stream Manager. Where's the chat? There it is. I'm going to pop this out too. We'll keep it up. We don't need all of this real estate. There we go. Much better. Okay, September 15th, 24 hours long. I guess I could just bring it up. So my abstract and talk title were approved. So now I have to scramble to get the slides and flow and like what I'm actually going to talk about. A lot of amazing speakers. It's unpaid, but I'm okay with that. See, here's Colby. Colby is the one who gave me a warm intro. I wonder if I'm on here yet. Probably not. Nope. That's okay. They're probably waiting for me to hand in my slides. But anyways. So I think this is the highest priority. That's why I've got it written here first. Then comes 100 days of projects, which probably starts with number 2 here, which is getting my next digital garden starter in a better place. It might be worth bringing that up on stream too. Just gonna remind myself where I'm at and maybe show off some of the progress that I haven't been talking about. Will the next one be in next? What do you mean by that? Next what? Projects. I think this is it. Oh, so yeah, this is meant to be Next.js. It's the one you've been looking at, Talvs. The one you've been kind of helping me with and discussing in Discord. But what I haven't been talking about, because I just have been so overwhelmed, is the progress I've been making on it slowly in the non-default branch. So this is the with styled components branch, and things are looking much better. So this is kind of a manifestation of what I think a bare bones digital garden requires, which is up for interpretation. Of course, everyone's different. So specifically a digital garden route, which doesn't exist yet, as you can see. So we've got the index, which might be more than just the garden. Maybe this wording is wrong, but there could be other things here too. But then there's a specific like garden area, like the index of the garden. Okay, well we have to get the MDX to allow meta exports. Does it not allow exports right now? I feel like it does, although I can't say that for sure without trying it. And we lost the chat. What are you using for syntax highlighting? So there's nothing yet in this next starter, but on my personal site, I'm using a very similar approach to Prince, which we can bring up. So we've got Prism React Renderer as the main engine for syntax highlighting, with a theme that I'm bringing in. I would love to write a custom theme. Haven't got around to it. So there's actually kind of two things sitting in my personal site for syntax highlighting. One is this, which is just your standard, triple backtick with maybe a language key like JS or whatever. But then I also have a diff viewer, and this is powered by React Diff Viewer. But then I also pass in a custom code syntax highlighting to the diff viewer, which is Prism, which is what we were looking at before. So I started off with just the code block, and this code you've probably seen before if you've done much research into syntax highlighting in MDX. Prince uses this or some variation of it. I think a lot of the corgis use this at a high level. But then I added in the diff viewer because as you're writing tutorials and building on the code that you're writing, one pet peeve I have with those tutorials is that it's hard to know what changed between the last code block and the new one. Especially like if they don't include a code sandbox with the finished product, it's kind of just wishy-washy. I think I have more to say there. So yeah, in a tutorial you might add, or we could just bring up one of my own, just so we have something to look at. Let's do that. Where's some code? Here's some code. So some tutorials might just have this, right? They might say, you know, add this to your plugins array. And that kind of works, but in my opinion, especially for noobs or people who are not experienced with Gatsby or, you know, whatever you're doing, or maybe even they're new to coding and software engineering altogether. They might not really understand where to add it or why we're adding it, or am I in the right file? Does it matter if it's at the beginning of the array or the end? You know, we all know, probably most of us know, that it doesn't really matter where in the plugins array it goes. But having this, oops, should probably exit Discord here. Having this extra context of like, you know, I'm putting it in this file specifically on these lines, in my opinion, makes it a lot more clear. Let's try and find another one. So here's another one. We don't really have a diff, so to speak. Okay, so here is the standard triple backticks, which looks slightly different than the diff viewer. I would like to make these either the same thing or look like the same thing at some point. This maybe not be the best tutorial. Let's see if we can find another one. Here you can tell, okay, this is a new file. We're adding all of these lines. Here's a good diff. So we built like a V1 of this earlier on in the tutorial of this content.js file, just to, like, you know, save, see the hot reload working, see that we can render content on the screen. But then we want to add something to it. And rather than just giving them the, you know, the brand new file, fully complete and whatnot, we're showing that, okay, we're changing this line. We're adding new lines here. And I think that gives a much bigger, fuller picture. So we're definitely on a big tangent now, but Max, does that somewhat answer your question? Cool. No problem. My site is all open source too, so feel free to go there and look at the package.json or whatever. Hey Tony, there you are. I don't know if you remember, but you helped me proofread this article a while back. This was written a long time ago now, May. Thanks. Okay, so we want chat and we want Obsidian. So recapping, what is a digital garden? The stream. Kind of the most important thing at the moment. Shouldn't take too long, but it needs to happen soon, today or tomorrow. And then going out of that, I don't know what the timeline on this stuff will be, but 100 days of projects, probably start with sprucing up and solidifying the Next.js Digital Garden starter. Maybe make a roadmap for what features and tooling I want here, which will be fueled by this stream and my prior developer experience. Okay, and then we'll use this Digital Garden starter to kickstart or this speedrunning site. I have some notes in my Notion that I kind of took along the way as I was getting up to speed with speedrunning. No pun intended. At some point I want to like relaunch this Digital Garden starter. Right now it's just like a low-key link in my 100 Days of Projects thread. But I would love to give it maybe a little rebrand, maybe a new name or something. And think more about what it means to relaunch this. I also have a design file. Wonder if we can look that. Yeah, here we go. So I want to like open source the design file along with it. This design is a little out of date with where I've gone with it in code, so I need to clean this up a bit, add some more pages, and then open source this along with it when I do a relaunch. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget. I also need to merge Eka's PR. I feel bad that that's been hanging for so long. Okay. And then along with this comes streaming more consistently. That's kind of a goal like in the background. There's no like build up and release a thing. I just need to do it. I need to press that go live button now that I've kind of removed the blockers to doing that. And now that I can sense that work is going to be more manageable and I won't be working 50, 60 hours a week for my full-time job soonish. Also I'm going on vacation next week. So I'll be gone Thursday to Monday, which will be great. Hopefully give me a chance to catch up on some stuff. And by that I mean refresh myself. So what am I missing here? If anything. Oh, Egghead. How can I forget? I have so many like in progress things on Egghead. We've got Figma, we've got ScreenFlow, and then I could turn some of my tutorials that are on my site already into collections. It's just been a while since I've released anything on Egghead, which feels bad. I think this is feeling pretty good. There's probably a million other things in here that are just lower priority. For example, I've got some content on video players, or notes on video players, I should say, because I've been building one from scratch at work. And there's a lot more that goes into it that, you know, I think we all take for granted, at least I took for granted, especially when it comes to UX. And it's really not documented anywhere. I couldn't find much on video players. I couldn't find much on HLS and Dash video streaming. I mean, there is stuff out there about it, but it's hard to find good resources. So I think there's an Egghead collection, a series of blog posts, etc. I guess we could bring in, yeah, we should definitely talk or add to this list personal site updates or personal garden updates, whatever. The mobile nav doesn't work. It's been a while since I released a tutorial. I've got a couple notes and stuff. Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, let's just demonstrate one of those video player nuances real quick. So this is me. A lot of my research on digital gardens has kind of started or been grounded in Maggie's research, and me kind of really digging into this article or collection of articles and forming my own opinions and writing things in my own words. But Maggie links to a video on YouTube, which I can't find in her article right now, but I know that I have it here. Okay, so we're not going to go into the video on this stream, but I just want to demonstrate one of the nuances of video players. Okay, so we've got this volume control, right? You can click and drag it. I believe there's also hotkeys. I forget the hotkey on YouTube. Maybe it's shift up. Nope. Okay, well, you can control the volumes by clicking and dragging. There's also hotkeys, I believe, to go in 10% increments. Now, where it gets interesting is that if I, let's say I'm at like 75%, and then I click mute, right? It goes down to 0, as you would expect. And I click it again, it remembers my last position, that 70%. It's not just putting it at 100. So we can demonstrate it again. We'll just go down to around 15, 20%, mute, unmute, and it remembers. Now, something that I took for granted or didn't realize or hadn't externalized is that if I go down to 0 and then I click unmute, where's it going to go? Is it going to stay at 0 because it remembers my last position? And in fact, it's not. When I unmute, after dragging it manually to 0, it goes to 50%. And I found that very interesting. They were making some assumptions that when I unmute after dragging to 0, I want some amount of volume. And they're also assuming that I don't want full volume. They're assuming I want around half. And there's a ton of little things like this, UX-wise, that there's very little to no documentation or blog posts or tutorials on. That could be a whole stream in itself. Never resets on 0. It should ignore the 0 and reset to last known reset. Well, let's say I'm at 100, right? And then I drag it all the way down to 0. And then I unmute. Oh, I think you're right. Zero. You're right. You are right. Good catch, Tony. See, my understanding, I must have like dragged to 50 and then just assumed, but you're right. So it's last known. I should write that down. So Tony pointed out that the above is not completely accurate. It goes to last known reset. Good observation. Really good. Hello, Magiko. Hi, I am a noob and I built a website. Can you review and provide some feedback? I suppose we could do that. Let's see, I'm going to open this off stream just to make sure. Nice. So that's a ban. See ya. Got him. That was a pretty good spam, right? Like, I feel like that wasn't a bot. If it was a good bot. I feel like that was a handwritten message, which is interesting. Tony, so somebody came in, said, "Hey, I'm a new web developer, and I just made a new site," and it had like, and it had like a URL that was like "Hello World" or something, as like a subdirectory. So it looked legit-ish, but I'm very glad that I was cautious and opened it off stream. But it was many scantily clothed humans. Yeah, old school with the hash bang. I mean, it brings you back to my Angular 1 days, where I had to like include some sort of plugin, I can't remember the name of it, to get rid of the hash bang, which made it feel even more legit, right? As someone coming in saying I'm a new web developer. I can see the deleted message. Oh, because you're a mod, right? That is an adult site. Oh, the TLD. It did look a little suspicious. We'll say that. It did tip me off a little bit. Pronouncing that word in my head. Oh, that's a good one. I wonder what the purpose of that is. Like, are they trying to advertise porn to my 9 viewers, one of which is probably me? Are they trying to get me banned? Are they trying to troll me and have fun? That's an interesting idea of fun. All right, I think the last thing I'm going to add to this to-do list or prioritization list is personal site updates. I redesigned it a while back. I made some good progress on that redesign. I put out some new content, and then it kind of went stale and quiet for a while. There have been some small updates, but mostly it's been kind of collecting dust. I've just been overwhelmed, like I mentioned. I'm not going to harp on that. Everyone has their reasons, but I would like to brush some of that dust off, pick some of the weeds. I guess this is Animal Crossing now. So the mobile nav doesn't work, has never worked. I'm actually surprised no one has pointed that out to me. Like, hey, do you know your mobile nav doesn't work? But anyways, I have thoughts and ideas, things in my Obsidian, things in my Notion, things in my head that haven't made it onto the site. I also feel like there's some redesign coming, not a major overhaul, but to support the digital garden, the idea of a digital garden more. There might be some routing changes or layout changes to support that. And then, as I mentioned, I've got new gear. Got the Magewell capture card, new computer, etc., etc. So my uses page is now out of date. I'd hope that the domain is not spamming Twitch to get viewers. Yeah. If that is the case, they picked the wrong place. All right. Feeling pretty good about this. I think I got a lot of things have been kind of floating around in my head, externalized onto paper, which is a great first step to getting things done, is just to write it down. So I guess now I just have to go do it. I don't want to promise when I'm going to do the What is a Digital Garden stream, but when I do make a decision there, I'm going to tweet it that like, hey, I'm doing this in an hour or in 2 hours or later, whatever. And I also will put it in Discord because I do think that will be a fun one to promote a little bit and make a little more buzz around, get some more people in here. So we'll see how I'm feeling today or tomorrow afternoon after D&D. One of the two. And then from there, we'll just off to the races. Got to write my conference talk coming out of that. That's top priority. And then maybe after my vacation, I'll get to the Digital Garden starter. So thanks for hanging out with me for the past hour or so. It's been awesome having y'all in chat, kind of giving me ideas, correcting me. We can go to this chatting screen. It feels good to be back on Twitch, or I should just say, it feels good to be streaming, talking out loud, bouncing ideas off of very smart people that I respect. And I'm excited to get more consistent with it after such a long break. It was fun for coffee and getting started. Awesome. What time is it there? I guess it's almost noon. Nice. Nice. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. See you again today or tomorrow. Have a good one.